Thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out, and deciding to stop by. We got another, like I said, exciting episode of Fantasy Haus Live coming at you. We're going to go over the weekly review, the power rankings, and the preview for the next week. Assuming there's no technical difficulties this time around, we should be good to go. Like I was saying before I realized I didn't actually have my mic on, or unmuted, I actually didn't get the chance to watch 100% too much football. I actually went to the Green Bay and New England game, so a lot of this I will be learning kind of for the first time with you guys. But yeah, I guess without too much further ado, let's get into it. And the reviews are here. So, starting at the top, who would have guessed it? Team Nuge, coming out of nowhere. I really shouldn't say coming out of nowhere. He's actually been killing it this year. Picks up the win over Debo's Nuts, 138 to 132. Nuge, gotta hand it to you, bud. You're killing it. Or maybe is it collusion? Him and his bud. But anyways, getting that win over the number 2 top dog in Debo's Nuts in the second matchup of the week. Chicago Deviants remaining undefeated, picking up the win over Team Breaky, 131 to 103. In our third matchup, the JJ's and CD's Nuts picking up that win at a score of 126 to 113. In our fourth matchup, we had Champ Cheese and Destino. And Destino picks up the win, 146 to 123, and then lastly, in a battle of the dumpster fires, Lamb Tanks and Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers able to pick up the win, 139 to 89. And as per usual, we will dive into a little bit more of what's going on here. All right, let's try it. So we'll do. Let me zoom back in here. This might be too close, but we'll see. Break it down. Son of a display window. Let's see. It's because it's not looking for the right thing. We switched browsers, so that's why it's all confused. Okay. So we are going to start with, what was the first one? I forgot. Let me minimize this. Act like a professional, right? What do we got? All right. So we're going to start with the best. So it'll be Team Nuge and Debo's Nuts. Review. Okay. Boom. Take a look at how this all kind of broke down. Gonna get this all nice on the screen here. Okay. So Derek Carr in the win. Oh, let's move that up here. Derek Carr in the win over Denver was able to drop 13 points, while Tom Brady in that 10-point loss to Kansas City dropped 29. Well, technically, I'm the best. It's true. You are the best. You are. Well, okay. So the way I do the weekly matchups generally for the week is like I look at the rankings. So it was the 2 top dogs going against one of the, I think it was 2 and 3 seed top dogs going against each other. But anyways, Tom Brady. Oh yeah, we said Tom Brady dropped 29. Not only did he drop 29 points, but he dropped his family too. Oh, got he. Anyways, so Austin Eckler and dropped 34 points in the win against Houston, while Christian McCaffrey dropped 25 points in the loss to Arizona. Austin Eckler, he's having a decent season. Let's see. I was originally going to say it was kind of like up and down, but consistent. And then just a huge game against Houston because, it's Houston. Janae, what's going on, fam? Appreciate you. Yes, you caught us right in time for Fantasy Live. right at the start of it. We are literally going down through match 1. So buckle on in. All right, let's see. Where were we at? Oh yeah. Austin Eckler went off against Houston, dropping 34, while Christian McCaffrey, I think he's been battling injuries, story of his life pretty much feels like. Able to get, 25 points. Hell yeah. Moving into the next battle, the running backs here, we got Antonio Gibson dropping a 9.3, while Tony Pollard only able to get 1.8 in the win over Washington. So I think that was more of like a Zeke game, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh. Oof. Zeke on the bench right here. You hate to see it. Clears throat. I would like to say, SirDukeNukeEm, hold this L for me. Ooh. Brutal. She talking trash, bro. Corn Doggy. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Hooligan House, fam. You're a legend. Appreciate you, my guy. Welcome. All right. Where are we at? We are at the wide receivers. So we had Deebo Samuel continuing to produce 23 points in that win over the Rams, while CeeDee Lamb put up 21 in the win over Washington. Tyreek was able to get 25 points in the loss to Cincinnati, while T. Higgins went off yet again for 25 in the win over Miami. Keep all over there. I'm perfect over here so far. It's true. He is 100% right about that. He is perfect in this league right now. I say right now. Moving on into the battle of the tight ends. We got Dawson Knox dropping 7 in the win over Baltimore, while Mark Andrews was only able to get 3 despite being one of the best tight ends in the league. And only able to get 3.5 points. You hate to see it. I love fantasy streams like this. Yes. Well, welcome on in, fam. I'm glad you're here. This is technically our community league for the hooligans. This is our Hooligan House Fantasy League. So I like to run a little fantasy kind of like show podcast thing where we just sit here, talk it out. I do weekly reviews, power rankings and previews. Nothing like it, man. Mostly just because I'm a nerd that loves football too much. But yeah, those 36 points didn't help you. Oof, brutal, bro. Oh yeah, this is 100% the place for you, bro. 100%. Now where were we? Oh yeah, Mark Andrews. Despite being one of the best tight ends and being one of Lamar's favorite targets this season, only able to put up 3.5. Moving into the battle of the flex position, James Robinson only able to get 2.9 points going against Philly. And again, this isn't the Philly of yore, this Philly defense is actually pretty good. And actually the Philly offense is actually something. Ow, my fucking face hurts. I know. I might have to go grab some ibuprofen in a sec when we switch secciones. Had a dentist appointment earlier this week. Anyways, let's see. Moving on to the opposite side, A.J. Brown, who was on the winning side of that, got 14 points in the win over Jacksonville. Moving into the battle of the defenses, the Steelers defense was able to put up 5 in the loss to the Jets, which is oof, it's a loss to the Jets. While the Cowboys were able to put up 11 in the win over Washington, as Washington kind of continues to flounder around. Everyone thought they were going to be a little bit better with Carson Wentz under center there, and it has not worked at all. You know what's messed up about the Cowboys, though? They've been perfect with Cooper Rush under center. So, oof, QB controversy? Better than the Bears? Hey, you ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying. They are technically doing better than the Bears. And lastly, better than in the battle of the kickers here, we got the Bears and the Browns. Cowboys and Seahawks losing their QBs, doing better. Oh, dude, spitting straight facts right now. Poor Justin Fields, bro. It's like, not only does he not really have an O-line, but he can't even really hit the people. Like, he's not even accurate this season. And they're super run heavy this season too. Poor Bears fans, bro. They have all them options, Mooney, Kmet, and they just sit there and run it. When aren't the Bears run heavy? But what's the point in investing in a QB if you don't even use them? Going into the kickers, we got Dustin Hopkins dropping 10 points in the win over Houston, while Nick Folk picks up 6 in the loss to GB. And I was at that game, boy. It was good shit. I ask myself that every Sunday. Sure, you're just like, why did we get Fields if we just don't do anything? All right, then let's switch it back to the review. Okay, that way I can actually just go back. Okay, next matchup, we're going to look at yours, SirDukeNukeEm, with the Deviants and Team Breaky, the Battle of the Brothers. All right, let's switch it. All right. Do a little scroll. I mean, considering him being a Ohio State boy, I wish he wouldn't do well. Fair. That is fair. But he is your quarterback. That's my quarterback. I have an important question. Shoot. Fantasy related. Also shoot. I don't know what happened on the tunes. All right. Let me take another sip. All right. Now, moving on into our very next matchup, we got... Who would you rather have in your fantasy team? Kyler with 4 legs or Mahomes with 4 arms? Kyler with 4 legs. Mahomes with 4 arms. It's true. Only one ball to throw. Only one ball to throw. Yeah, but... so... Mahomes with 4 arms sounds like 4 more chances for him to get called for like holding or face masks if he spins. But it doesn't. Imagine Goro throwing. It doesn't look pretty. Oh my god. Imagine Mahomes doing like the spin-a-roni and then just unintentionally getting a face mask every time. All right, let's get into it. So we have Battle of the QBs. Jalen Hurts continuing to produce and having an awesome season in that win over Jacksonville, putting up 18, while Lamar Jackson also having a phenomenal season, able to put up 14 in the tough loss to Buffalo. Moving straight into the running backs, Cam Akers continues to have, some tough sledding. I think that's mostly just because a lot of the Rams running backs are Rams are just running back by committee. I think we all kind of know that by now. Let's see, has Cam even had a few good games? Yeah, he had one game in week 3 where he had a Teddy, and the Teddy saved him because it was 61 yards. Anyways, across from that, we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire go off for 22 in the win over Tampa. Moving straight into the seconds, we got Aaron Jones picking up 14 in that win over New England, while on the other side of that ball was Damien Harris picking up 15 in that loss to Green Bay, that overtime loss that the Silver Fox Mason Crosby was able to seal the deal for us, get that dub. Good shit. And the weather was nice. Moving into the wide receivers, let's see. Stephon Diggs was able to put up 10 in the win over Baltimore, while Jamar Chase, who continues to have not quite the same spectacular season as last year, able to still muster up about 12.1 points in that win over Miami. Devontae Adams put up 19 in the win over Denver, while Marquise Brown was able to put up 20 in the win over Carolina. Moving into the tight ends, we had Pat Freiermuth dropping 15 in the loss to the Jets, while Darren Waller, who is having quite the stinker of a season, if I do say so myself, because I have him in another fantasy league, only able to get 5.4 points. In the Battle of the Flexes, Allen Robinson continuing to disappoint, dropping 2.7, while Miles Sanders is killing it. Part of that Eagles offense that has just been outstanding so far this season, getting 29.6 points this week. Moving on into the defenses. The Bills dropping 8 in that win over Baltimore, where the Rams, despite playing a whole game, got 0 points. Except they did they did tackle that streaker. And I hear, Bobby Wagner got, that dude that got tackled is filing a police report on it. That makes me laugh. Moving into the kickers, Daniel Carlson got 14 points in the win over Denver, while Tyler Bass, shit, I always mess up his name, was able to get 11 in the win over Baltimore. Oh, let me adjust this again. Now I'll leave it at 150. Okay, so starting with our quarterbacks, we had Kirk Cousins drop in 15 in the win over New Orleans, while you hate to see it, Tua on the opposite side here, only getting 3 points before being obviously very much injured. Moving into the running backs, Derrick Henry going off yet again, maintaining that crown for King Henry, 23 points in the winning effort over Indianapolis, while Joe Mixon was able to get 17 points in the win over Miami. Into running backs number 2, we got Damien Pierce continuing to have an amazing season for Houston, despite Houston not doing too well. Getting 25 points in the loss to the Chargers, while Javonte Williams only able to get 3.7 points before being injured and lost for the season. I believe that was, I think it was an ACL and MCL, I think, tear. So that is, you hate to see it. But hopefully he'll be able to bounce back from that in probably like next year, maybe even sooner. But I mean, it was the MCL too, so that's obviously gonna shelf him for a long time. Well, at least the rest of the season. But moving into the wide receivers, we had Michael Pittman Jr. getting 6 in the losing effort to Tennessee, while Cooper Kupp, who continues to produce, and I mean, he's Cooper Kupp. He's obviously the best wide receiver in the league right now. The man is getting fed over there in that Rams offense, getting 26 points in the win over San Francisco. Into wide receivers number 2, you had Cortland Sutton. Let me turn this down just a hair. Ow, sorry. You have Cortland Sutton getting 16 points in the losing effort to Vegas, while Mike Evans was able to get 30 points despite losing to Kansas City. In the battle of the tight ends, Gerald Everett continues to have a decent season, while he had put up 17 in the win over Houston, and Kyle Pitts unfortunately continues to disappoint, despite the fact a lot of people drafted him very highly, I would assume. Well, not very highly, but pretty high, considering how much of a great season that he had last year. Man was, on pace to have a breakout season, but things. And it's funny because the Atlanta offense is pretty decent, especially with, when Cordell Patterson's actually in that offense. But it just sucks to see Pitts' production take such a slump in his sophomore season here. Moving into the battle of the flex position here, we have Mike Williams dropping 19 in that win over Houston, while Garrett Wilson, who is supposed to be the man over there for the Jets, only able to get 6 this time around, going against Pittsburgh. And I think, oh wait, no, that's for Pittsburgh. Never mind. It doesn't matter. I was gonna say, was that the Zach Wilson game that he first took over, I believe? If I remember correctly, that was his first game back, taking over for Flacco. Or was that last week? It's all kind of blending together. But anyways, Moving to the defenses, the Broncos only able to get 1 point in that loss to Vegas, while the Vikings were able to get 6 in the win over New Orleans. Moving into the kickers, Evan McPherson putting up a steady 11, being one of the best kickers in the league, and Matt Prater able to up a very respectable 8 in the win over Carolina. Go back to the review. All right, now we get into the reigning and defending Fantasy League champion Champ Cheese versus Destino. Where is it? Boom, boom. And I did get marked by like 20 points or so. All right, let's go through it. Kyler put up 24 points in the win over Carolina, while Mahomes put up 25 in the win over Tampa Bay, so pretty even there. Saquonda continuing to have an amazing season, putting up 18 over in the win against the Bears, while Chubb also continuing to have an amazing season, putting up 20 points in the, well, actually, hang on a second. I was like, he had a couple of, was it just one game? Lol. I was like, there was even a few games where didn't Hunt have a decent amount of carries too? And it's like, he hasn't had under 10 points yet. Sheesh. This man is producing no matter what, having a stellar season. You'll love to see it. Khalil Herbert putting up 11 despite losing to the Giants, and Josh Jacobs threw up 34 in the win over Denver. This man could just not be stopped. Moving into the wide receivers, Justin Jefferson threw up 31 in the win over New Orleans, while DK Metcalf put up 21 in the win over Detroit. In the battle of the second wide receivers, you had Gabe Davis putting up only 2 points, while Brandon Ayuk also put up only 7.7, so pretty mediocre production, actually very low production of the wide receivers, or second wide receivers. Moving into the tight ends, we had Tyler Higbee, who is actually having quite the season with the Rams this year, because apart from Stafford throwing it to obviously everyone's favorite wide receiver Cooper Kupp, Higbee's been getting quite a large target share, and man has been making reps, or making those reps count as well. But obviously, Travis Kelce, he's going to be and is one of the best tight ends in the league, dropping 24 points in that win over Tampa. Big win over Tampa. Mostly I'm not a Brady fan, so hey, anytime Brady's taking that L, I'm for it. Anyways, moving on into the flex, we had Devante Smith, who had a big game last week, only able to get 4 points despite going up against Jacksonville. Josh Palmer also had a very low game, or not a very low game, but a low game. Only able to get 3.5 points, even though going up against a not quite as good Houston defense. Speaking of defenses, we had the Titans able to get 9 points in the win over Indy, while the Chargers got 8 in the win over Houston. And then lastly, Brandon McManus was able to get 5 in the loss to Vegas, while Matt Amendola is not even on the team. So we might have to start calling some peeps out for not setting their lineups. I didn't have too many people that went off. Just, got out fucking played. Also, I didn't think he was gonna. Hey, is David Montgomery good to go? Does he not have an injury designation anymore? Interesting. But, okay, let's switch it up. And I think we have one more. We have the Battle of the Dumpster Fires. We have the Lame Tanks and Bob's Burgers. In which case, obviously, Bob's Burgers got that win. And let's see how that happened. Looking at the battle of the QBs, once again, a pretty similar effort here with Josh Allen putting up 25 in the win over Baltimore, while Justin Herbert also roughly putting up 25, actually 24 and a half in the win over Houston. While Jonathan Taylor, and if we move into the running backs, we had Jonathan Taylor, who you would expect to have a bigger game going against Tennessee, who isn't a very good Tennessee team this year, well, at least defensively speaking. But he's, again, now that if we're being frank, this isn't a very good Indianapolis offense either. And this has Jonathan Taylor. This is a team that has Jonathan Taylor on, on its squad, and they cannot do anything. They got he was able to get 3.3 points. If you look on the opposite side, another low day for Mr. Najee Harris, who's only able to get 7.4 in the loss to the Jets. Moving into running backs 2, where this is where a lot of that big production came. Devin Singletary finally scored and manages to make himself relevant, getting 11 points in the win over Baltimore, while Jamal Williams went off, mostly because there were a lot of Lions players out, so he was going to be a huge benefactor for that. Was able to get 23 points in the despite losing to Seattle. In the wide receivers, DJ Moore was able to get 12 in the loss to Arizona, while Scary Terry only able to get 3 in the loss to Dallas. In the battle of the second wide receivers, you had Tyler Lockett putting up 13 in the win over Detroit, while Christian Kirk was only able to get 8 in the loss to Philly. And sliding right on over into the tight ends, we got George Kittle, only able to get 4 points this week, while getting the win against the Rams, while TJ Hawkinson had a monster day, going off for nearly 40, 39.9 in the loss to Seattle. In the flex spot, Amari Cooper went off. Well, I said went off, but really it was Amari Cooper only got 1.9 points, while Chris Olave continuing to produce and having an amazing rookie season, able to get 16 points. Moving into the defenses, the Packers defense was able to capitalize a little bit on Hoyer being in and knocked him out, and was able to get 8 points, while the Saints defense going against Minnesota was only able to put up 4. And lastly, in the battle of the kickers, Matt Gay was able to get 9 points in a losing effort to San Fran, while Justin Tucker was able to get 11 in the loss to Buffalo, because Justin Tucker is the GOAT of kickers. Boom. I think that cares. And that takes care of that. Which brings us to the next point. Now we got the good old power rankings. Are you guys ready? Because I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's get it. Boom. And these are the power rankings for week 4. Let me pull up the ones from last week so I have a little bit of reference, because everyone needs reference. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Oh, Tay. Oh, wait. There we go. Okay, so in our top dogs, there was no change at all. Deviants remain at number 1 with a record of 4-0. Debo's Nuts. You know what's funny here about our top dogs? Debo's Nuts stays at top dog number 2 despite losing this week and having a worse record. And you may be asking, now, how does that happen? I will show you how this happens. Get rid of that. It's because of points 4. That is why. Boom. Okay. And then moving into, or staying at the third spot is Mr. Nuge, moving into 3 and 1. Then there was some shifting around in the middle of the pack. Destino moved up to the 4th place with a now record of 2 and 2. CD's Nuts was able to move up to the 5th spot with 2 and 2. Bob's Burgers was able to get out of the dumpster fire and get into the 6th spot with a record of 2 and 2. BJJ's was able to BJJ's fell to the 7th spot with also a record of 2 and 2. Team Breaky takes the 8th spot, falling to 1 and 3. Champ Cheese continues their fall from grace, taking in that 9th spot and newest member to the dumpster fires, also at 1 and 3. And the Lame Tanks staying right at number 10 with a record of 1 and 3. But I will say, congrats to the Deviants, though. Only team in the league that's 4-0 right now. Boom, ba-do-do. Okay. Now let's do the preview. So, in our game of the week, at the very top, we got Team Nuge 3 and 1 taking on our number 3 top dog, taking on our number 1 top dog in the Chicago Deviants, sitting at a record of 4-0. In our second matchup of the week, we got the 4th ranked Destino versus the 5th ranked CD's Nuts. Both have 2 and 2, a record of 2 and 2. Moving into the third matchup, second overall top dog, or second ranked overall top dog, Debo's Nuts with a record of 2 and 2, taking on Bob's Burgers, also a record 2 and 2, who currently sits in that 6th spot. Third matchup is the 7th ranked BJJ's taking on the one of the dumpster fires and the Lamb Tanks. And lastly, Champ Cheese is taking on Team Breaky in a battle of the 1 and 3 teams. So we are looking for some redemption. And we shall start at the top. Let's do the matchup. Okay. Okay, here we go. So Lamar Jackson, Baltimore going against Cincinnati versus Tom Brady, and the Bucks going against Atlanta. Ooh. Brady is not having the same season. He's also partially injured, got a lot of personal shit going on. I like Lamar in this game going against Cincinnati. Lamar is having an awesome season, and Cincinnati has kind of been struggling this year. So I'll give the edge to slightly Lamar in this one. Let's see. Excuse me. Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City going against Las Vegas, while Christian McCaffrey in Carolina go against San Fran. San Fran is all right against the run, but seeing that it's Carolina, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I would still think he's going to produce. I want to say CMC, but I think realistically speaking, I think Edwards-Helaire might actually have the better night. Moving into the next matchup, we got, let's see, Damien Harris in New England taking on Detroit versus Tony Pollard in Dallas going against the Rams. Ooh, gotta go Damien Harris on this one. I just think, Tony Pollard, not the starting back. I know the Cowboys like to switch him up, but the Rams are also a pretty good defense. So I feel like they're gonna end up swallowing up that defensive front or that offensive line a little bit. Moving into the wide receivers, we got Jamar Chase and Cincy taking on Baltimore versus CeeDee Lamb and Dallas taking on the Rams. CeeDee being the number one, probably going to draw Jalen if he shadows him. But that's also with Cooper Rush. I think I might go Jamar Chase on this one. But Baltimore has been pretty good this year, so. And Cincinnati has not been quite as explosive this time around. Let's see. If we go into the next wide receiver matchup, we got Marquise Brown and Arizona going against Philly versus T. Higgins and Cincy going against Balti. Philly is a good defense, assuming both these players play. Who would have the better night? Because Baltimore also has a good defense, and Cincinnati's offense is not that great. Let's see. — 14, 12, 28, 20. — 4, 19, 14, 25. If I had to lean any direction, I think maybe T. Higgins. There's just, I don't know, too many unknowns, I feel like, with Arizona sometimes. Moving into the battle of the tight ends, we got Darren Waller in Vegas going against KC, while Mark Andrews and Baltimore go against Cincinnati. Got to go with Mark Andrews on this one. Mostly just think because been kind of not like a focal point, but been a nice target for Lamar there, and Darren Waller's just been having too quiet of a season. Moving into the flex spot, we have Miles Sanders and Philly going against Arizona, with also AJ Brown going against Arizona. Miles Sanders has been having a good season, and so is AJ Brown, but Devante Smith is also there too, and Jalen Hurts has been pretty damn good. Covington Usman 1 really be the greatest and most controversial fight of all time? Hey, you're probably not wrong, bro. Elite the baller. Good to see you, fam. Much love, bro. But Usman's a beast, though. Just saying. Between AJ Brown and Miles Sanders. My bad, brother. I just had to wake up and speak facts. Hey, shit. Hey, talk your talk, bro. I feel you. Let's see. And going against Arizona, I think. Hang on. Let me look at AJ Brown's. So he's been consistent. Well, he's been producing pretty consistently. Versus Sanders, who has also been having actually a very good season, apart from his one game here. I think this is because this Arizona defense isn't quite as good. It's a little bit more mediocre. But I think we'll roll with. I think we'll probably roll with AJ Brown on this one. And then we got opposing defenses. That's funny. So we got the Rams going against Dallas. On paper, you would like to think that the Rams defense would be able to beat up on Cooper Rush, but we'll see. I'll give Edge Rams. And then we got in our kicker battle, we got Tyler Bass in Buffalo going against Pitt versus Nick Folk in New England going against Detroit. Probably have to go with Folk on this one. All right. That concludes part 1. Where is my thing? The preview scene. Oh wait, now we need this one. Okay. In our next matchup, we got Destino and CD's Nuts. Okay, ready? Quick little each. Oh, and a back crack. All right, let's get into it. Ooh, and a fan, because it is a little warm. Okay, in our battle of the QBs, we have Russell Wilson and Indy going against, and Denver going against Indy versus Mahomes, and KC going against Las Vegas. Oof. With the way he's playing right now, you gotta roll with Mahomes. Easy. In the battle of the running backs, we got Nick Chubb and Cleveland going against Chargers versus Joe Mixon and Cincy going against Baltimore. I'm gonna go with Chubb on this one. Just because Baltimore's defense, or not defense, it's more I don't see Cincy's offense is too reliable for those points, whereas Chubb has just been killing it. In the battle of the second running backs, we got Josh Jacobs in Las Vegas taking on KC versus Damien Pierce in Houston going against Jacksonville. Oof. Josh Jacobs had a monster game last week. But I don't think he'll be able to repeat that against KC. So I think I'm going to gamble on this one. I think I'd say Damien Pierce is going to have a better day going against Jacksonville, who everyone's still kind of wondering if they're legit. But we'll see. Moving into the battle of the wide receivers, we got Cooper Kupp going against, and the Rams going against Dallas versus DK Metcalf in Seattle going against New Orleans. My initial gut reaction is saying to go for Kupp. Mostly because he's got Stafford thrown to him, always gets fed the ball. And DK Metcalf, even though they are going against the Saints, I don't know. I'm just not sold on 100% Geno Smith. Even though I know, actually, isn't Geno one of the top passer ratings? Or not passer ratings, one of the passer most passing yards? Jesus, words are hard. I can't remember off the top of my head. Moving into the second wide receivers, we got Mike Evans in Tampa going against Atlanta versus Brandon Ayuk and San Fran going against Carolina. Oof. Not good. We'll probably have to go Mike Evans just purely on that. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Yeah, because we were talking about... I could run through that real quick. So we had Russ Wilson and Mahomes. We went with Mahomes because it's going against the Raiders. Joe Mixon and Chubb. We went with Chubb because he's just been killing it. Damien Pierce in Houston going against Jacksonville versus Josh Jacobs, who's coming off an amazing game. I I went with Damien Pierce. In the Battle of Cooper Kupp versus DK Metcalf, went with Cooper Kupp as he gets fed, despite the fact going against probably not exactly the best Saints defense, but we're expecting that he is probably going to get shadowed by Lattimore, their number 1 corner there. In wide receivers number 2, we went with Mike Evans, going against Atlanta versus, well, Ayuk has been pretty inconsistent this year. In the battle of the tight ends, we had Kyle Pitts, who is still questionable and is also having a very down year, going against Travis Kelce. So you obviously got to go with Kelce on this one. The man has just been simply producing. In the flex position, we got Ramondre Stevenson in New England going against Detroit, while there is Joshua Palmer in the Chargers going against Cleveland. Palmer, what have you gotten? 3, 13, 15, 3. Well, Stevenson here, it's kind of hard to say. How much do you get? Interesting. Low points the first 2 weeks, and then next 2 weeks, where was it? 20 in the game against Baltimore. So I guess I'd probably have to go Stevenson on this one, mostly because Hoyer's still probably going to be out with that concussion, so they're still probably going to run the ball, but Damien Harris is still the lead back there, so he's probably going to get a bulk of those carries. Let's see. Defenses, we had Vikings going against Chicago, while the Chargers going against Cleveland. I think maybe the Vikings defense will put up more points against the Chicago defense, or the Chicago offense, than the Chargers will. And lastly for this, moving into the kickers, Young-Ho Koo and Atlanta going against Tampa versus Matt Amendola, who is not even on a team, I don't think. Yeah, so his kicker's not even on a team. Let's see. Switch it back over. Okay, now we got Bob's Burgers versus Debo's Nuts. Boom. Okay. Starting at the top. Justin Herbert and the Chargers going against Cleveland versus Derek Carr and Las Vegas going against KC. I like Justin Herbert in this matchup. Derek Carr has been all right, but my guess would be Herbert if I had to choose one. Moving into running backs, we have Najee Harris and Pitt going against Buffalo, which is going to be a tough game, versus Austin Eckler, and the Chargers going against Cleveland. I think Eckler on this one will probably have a little bit more points. Harris didn't really have a good game last week, and Buffalo's defense ain't no joke. Moving into the next, we got Jamal Williams in Detroit going against New England versus James Robinson in Jacksonville going against Houston. Ooh. I'd probably have to go based on the matchup, James Robinson. There's just a lot of factors with Jamal Williams. I know last week he went off, but that was a lot because there's like a bunch of players out for Detroit, which he could still get a decent amount of yards. But I think this week, I think James Robinson will get more. In the battle of the wide receivers, we got Terry McLaurin in Washington going against Tennessee versus Deebo Samuel in San Fran going against Carolina. Let's see. Where are we? Versus Deebo, right? Because we talked about Scary Terry a little bit in Washington. Versus Deebo Samuel and San Fran going against Carolina, which I'll probably take Deebo Samuel all day on this one. The man just produces no matter where he is on the field, while Scary Terry is, I'm pretty sure he's being outpaced by Curtis Samuel at the moment. Into wide receiver number 2, we got Christian Kirk and Jacksonville going against Houston versus Tyreek Hill. And Miami going against the Jets. Ooh. Something tells me on this one to roll the like. I know Tyreek's going to put up some numbers, but I think Christian Kirk might have the better day. Going against that porous Houston defense. Moving into tight ends, we have T.J. Hawkinson, assuming he plays, in Detroit going against New England, while Dawson Knox, also assuming he plays, for Buffalo. Why is that formatting a little weird? Anyways, who would I choose? Dawson Knox against Pitt or Hawkinson against New England? If they can play, Hawkinson just came off a huge game. Dawson Knox going against Pitt, not quite the same defense. Let's go with I guess we'll go Hawkinson. I'd be prepared to eat my words on that. What's going on, Grimsy? Good to see you, dude. What's up as always, my guy? Moving into the flex position, we got Chris Olave, New Orleans taking on Seattle versus Amon-Ra St. Brown at Detroit going against New England. Oof. This is a tough one. Assuming Amon-Ra St. Brown plays though, we'll lean towards Amon-Ra. Moving into the defenses, we got the Saints going against Seattle, while we got the Niners going against Carolina. Oof. I think the Niners defense will put up more points. And lastly, in the battle of the kickers, we got Justin Kicker in Baltimore going against Cincy versus Dustin Hopkins and the Chargers. Or quit or whatever you want to call it. And then Dustin Hopkins. Oh, damn it. Let's see. Why can't you... Where did I space? Oh, going against Cleveland. Who do I like more? Probably Justin Tucker, honestly, because who knows? With Baltimore, they could falter, which could obviously just mean that Justin Tucker's gonna have to kick it, and that man is money from out far. What was it? I think he holds the literally an NFL record for the longest field goal, so we're gonna hold it past him, you know. All right. Next up, we got the BJJs taking on the Lame Tanks. I think that's this. Yes, it is. Ow. Scroll down. All right. Okay, starting at the top, we got Josh Allen in Buffalo taking on Pitt versus Kirk Cousins in Minnesota taking on Chicago. Got to go with Josh Allen on this one. He's been cooking all season. One of the first QBs taken in our draft. Which, can you blame him? Going against a Pitt defense has been and Kirk is, been having another pretty nice season. And you're going against a Chicago defense that is not doing so well. Moving into the running backs, we got Devin Singletary in Buffalo taking on Pitt, so he doubled up there. Taking on Derrick Henry in Tennessee, going against Washington. Oof, gotta give the edge to Derrick Henry here. Just looking at that juicy matchup against Washington. Running back number 2, we have J.K. Dobbs, who is listed as questionable. With Baltimore to play against Cincy. And we have Alvin Kamara, also questionable, for the was it no num? Oh, I get to read. Oh, it's New Orleans running back. Duh, I'm a fucking idiot. Oh my god. Lol. While New Orleans goes against Seattle, and that's assuming Kamara plays. Yeah, assuming Kamara plays, we'd probably go Alvin Kamara on that one. Moving into wide receivers, we got Michael Pittman Jr. in Indy going against Denver, while DJ Moore in Carolina go against San Francisco. I think I'd probably go DJ Moore in this one. In the battle of the wide receivers 2, we got Cortland Sutton and Denver taking on Indy versus Tyler Lockett and Seattle taking on New Orleans. I like Cortland Sutton in this one. He's actually been having quite a good season with Russ under center. And going against that Indianapolis defense, which has not been very good at all. I think it's a great combo. Moving into the tight ends, we got George Kittle and San Fran taking on Carolina, while we got Gerald Everett and the Chargers taking on Cleveland. I mean, on paper, I want to lean towards Kittle, but it really just depends on if, he actually gets thrown the ball. Gerald Everett has been having an outstanding season, but I think I'm still going to roll with George Kittle on this one. Let's see. In the battle of the flexes, we got Amari Cooper in Cleveland taking on the Chargers versus Mike Williams and the Chargers taking on Cleveland. Whoa. Who do I think will have more? Probably Mike Williams. Just because he's got Herbert throwing to him, who's been making smart plays, making a lot of just making the most of his reps. And in the battle of the defenses, we got the Packers D going against the Giants versus the Broncos going against Indy. Oof. Oh, I probably have to go Broncos on this one because the Indy's going to be without Jonathan Taylor, so that's going to be a big blow. But they do have Nyheim Hines. And lastly, we got the kickers. Matt Gay and the Rams going against Dallas versus Evan McPherson and Cincy going against Balti. I'm going to have to roll with Evan McPherson on this one just because he's been consistently kicking a lot of field goals and making a lot of points. And I think we have one more. In which case it's Team Breaky versus Champ Cheese. Oh god, check. Okay, here we go. Starting at the top, Jalen Hurts in Philly going against Arizona, while we have Kyler Murray. And Arizona going against Philly. Honestly, I would love for Kyler to kill it here. and I really want to say Kyler, but I think Jalen Hurts is going to have the better game against Arizona. They're kind of more of a mediocre defense, and Jalen's been cooking this season. In the first set of running backs, Cam Akers in the Rams versus Dallas. We got Dalvin Cook in Minnesota going against Chicago. Assuming Dalvin Cook can play and isn't, injured, I like Dalvin Cook in this matchup. And then we got another battle of dueling opponents. Aaron Jones and Green Bay taking on the Giants. So I'll say Saquon. And the Giants take on Green Bay. I don't know. I want to say Saquon because he's going to be that featured back. But with the thing with the Packers, though, is that they do have A.J. Dillon. They kind of flip them, back and forth. They also have plays where they keep them in at the same time. So I think we're going to have to just roll with Aaron Jones on this one. Even though we know Saquon's going to get fed and going to be a beast. Moving into wide receiver 1. We had Stephon Diggs and Buffalo wide receiver. Versus Justin Jefferson in Minnesota going against Chicago. While Stephon Diggs has buff going against Pitt. I'd have to roll probably Justin Jefferson on this one. Just because Chicago's defense is not that great. Packer bias aside. Moving into wide receiver matchup 2, Devante Adams and the Raiders taking on KC versus Curtis Samuel and Washington taking on Tennessee. I do like Tay. But I don't know. I guess part of me is not 100% sold on this, on Wentz being able to make Curtis the number 1. But I think I'll roll with Tay on this one to get more points in this KC game. In the battle of the tight ends, we got Pitt. Pitt. What was it? Pitt, tight end at Buffalo. Okay, got you. So it'd be Pittsburgh at Buffalo. We have Tyler Higbee and the Rams going against Dallas. Maybe Higbee, but not by much. Flex is Allen Robinson and the Rams taking on Dallas versus Jeff Wilson and the Niners taking on Carolina. I'm going to have to roll with Jeff Wilson here because they are going against Carolina, who just isn't doing that great. Moving into the defenses, we got the Bills taking on Pitt, while we got the Buccaneers taking on Atlanta. Kenny Pickett under center for the Bills. Buccaneers picking on Atlanta, who's mediocre. And then let's see. Kenny Pickett starting, Bills Buffalo, or Bills versus Pitt, and Buccaneers versus Atlanta. This is a hard one, man. But might have to go with Bills just because you don't know how good Atlanta's going to show up to play. So we'll go Bills on that one. And then, lastly not least, Daniel Carlson and the Las Vegas Raiders taking on KC. Going against Brandon McManus and Denver going against Indy. I think Carlson might have the better day, depending on how many if they can finish drives or not. McManus will probably be able to finish some drives, but I just think Carlson is I think Carlson's going to have more chances, while Brandon McManus is probably going to be, I would assume Denver's going to be able to win a little bit better. Win a little bit more easily than with Indy. Was that it? Jam Cheese versus Team Breaky, yeah. Cool. Okay. So that, well, I want to thank you guys for tuning into this little section of sports, our little sports haven here. We went over our community leagues, a review of the last week. We then went over the power rankings for this week and took a leak at the matchups that were going to happen next week. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and watching, as always.